as our equations get more complicated, we have to do more preparation work in order to take it back to simply the variables, the coefficients, and the constants. Because there are some items here that need to be done first to prepare ourselves for the actual solving of this equation. Looking over our equation, I'm noticing that the parentheses just jump out at me because those are wildcards as order of operation determines. Within the parentheses, I'm supposed to be able to join the two terms, which are 3 and this negative 8g, but they don't really have anything in common. So there isn't any way that I can combine those. It's kind of like saying let's say three sophomores, and then we have minus 8 seniors. And there's not any way that we join sophomores and seniors. So they're just not in the same grouping. So this parenthesis turns into a distributive situation. We're going to put our distributive property to work here because this then is a multiplication sign. So the 6 is multiplied by the very first term. 6 times 3 is 18. Following our rules for positive and negative, we have a positive 6 and a negative 8g. So multiplication says just simply multiply the numbers. So 6 times 8 is 48g, but the signs are different, so it's negative. Now I have taken the parentheses away. I can copy the rest of my equation, and I'm looking again to see what my next step would be. I have parts of these terms. Here's a term, here's a term, and here's a term. I'm looking for positive and negative signs to show where my terms begin and end. I have 2 of the terms in here that actually are g's. So both of these categories are like terms. Those could be joined together. So in this preliminary step, I'm going to do that part next and join this. So negative 48 and a positive 4g. My signs are different, so I'm going to SUB them. This comes to be 44g. The g is a label in this case. The larger of the numerals is 48, so I'm going to copy its sign. So these 2 like terms join as a negative 44g. And I will copy the rest of my problem. 18 equals 100. Now I'm looking to see if there's anything here I can join together. I notice that my wall is here. I have a constant term with the 18, and I have a term with a coefficient here. My constant 18 is a plain number, and that will go nicely over here because 100 is also a plain number. So the very first thing that I do in this next step of algebra, and I've taken you through some of the review now I'm going on to what's called a 2-step equation. I'm going to take the constant and move it to the other side of the equation. That's done through the opposite of this addition, which is subtraction. So I'm going to subtract 18 from both sides of this equation. This eliminates it. I'm left with 44g on this side equal whatever the math calculation is here. It is a subtraction problem because this is a positive 100. So we're going to regroup. We're going to get a 2 and an 8. so that's crooked, but it's 82. 44g is equal to 88. It's at this point that I can take my term with the coefficient is the 44, the variable g. I want to snap off the 44, the negative 44, from the g, because I ultimately want to get my g by itself. So this is a multiplied situation. That's how the g is attached to the negative 44. So I'm going to divide by a negative 44. Immediately I'm going to divide by a negative 44 here. That leaves with only g. And this is a top-heavy fraction. So let's do a small side calculation. I know that I can take 44 into 82 one time with, okay, so 44 goes into 82 one time with 8 and 38 left over. So this is 38 44ths. It's a negative. I was dividing by a negative, so this is a negative number. And this can be further reduced to g is equal to negative 1. 2 will divide into both of those because they're even. 1 and 9 and 22. So our actual value of the g is negative 1 and 19/22.